Book of Wars against Jehovih. Chapter 25. Of the Venduan Assault. 1. Sudga the False, sent by Deus to overturn the Great Spirit's dominion in Vindu and to establish the highest heavenly place, Urvatus, was wiser than Osiris or Tain in his wicked work. For he permitted not his army, his 1,000 millions, to rush on for the places of worship and for the oracle houses, but most deliberately halted his forces in Haroyu, the lowest heavenly place over the mountains of Vivrat in Vindu, 3 miles high and broad as the earth, and a commanding situation. 2. Whence, in a sure way, he sent his messengers on ahead down to the earth to measure mortals as to their weakness and strength in faith in Jehovah and other rulers heavenly, to map them and mark them and to number them. 3. Great was the peace and beauty and glory of Vindu in that day. Her rivers and canals coursed the country over, and her industrious sons and daughters, 200 millions, were, in the eyes of the angel, the pride and glory of the earth. Hundreds of thousands of her people were prophets and seers, and so abundant was spiritual light amongst the people that even those who had learned but one language could understand and speak other languages with people from remote parts, words and sentences they have never heard, even when first meeting strangers. Like the inhabitants of Japheth, as to the government and industry, mostly by the exchange of goods, and not by buying and selling, lived the Vinduans. This was their weakest point, as to an assault. 4. Sudga said to his generals and captains, "Only by confounding the languages of these people can they be broken up and subdued. Behold, they are becoming as gods, knowing and understanding in advance of the words spoken. What then is their greatest liable shortness, save we confound them suddenly in the meaning of words? Fall ye upon them, and possess them, and obsess them, all who are easily captured. Get ye a foothold here and there in the first place, and in their commerce cripple them." 5. Sudga said, "It is a strong city that maketh all kinds of goods. It is a weak place indeed that dependeth on another, which is far off. Such people are easily tripped up. Behold, I will teach these people that I am the militant before whom every knee shall bow. Or in failing to win them thus, I will set city against city, and country place against country place, all against one another, for which their superabundant languages will furnish excellent material." 6. Sudga opened the door at night for his host to fall on the weakest of mortals as to faith in Ormazd, who had become as a stale story to hundreds of thousands of men and women. In Vindu had women risen in knowledge, higher than the highest of women in other parts of the world. In the houses of philosophy and houses of science, women were foremost as to men and skeptical as to the Ormazdian power. 7. On rushed Sudga's legions, and even as Osiris and Tain won in the third assault, so now Sudga in the first. And he too sent word to Deus and exaggerated beyond all bounds of truth as to his victories. Nevertheless, his hosts were sufficiently anchored on the earth to claim an everlasting victory for Deus and to establish his name. 8. And here also, after a few years, the questions came from mortals, asking thus, "Behold, ye cut off the heavens of the ancients, the Norvanian regions beyond Chinvat. Ye teach us that Deus is the all-high ruler. What then is the all-highest for man? How came the worlds? Whence came man? How was the creation created?" 9. To answer which Sudga sent to Deus for instructions, and Deus sent to Sudga, even as to the other gods, an invitation to meet in Horeb, to hear the words of the Lord God, to learn his commands. 10. Thus invited, Thus went the 5 great warrior gods before Deus, taking with them each his 10,000 attendants, besides thousands of trumpeters. Deus had a good feast prepared for them. He had sent receivers forth to meet them and conduct them to Sanctu in great splendor. Chapter 26. 1. Great was the feast, the pomp and parade and glory in Horeb, when Deus, victorious gods, and their companions and attendants came in answer to the summons of Anuhasaj, alias the Lord God. The trumpeters of Horeb were stationed along more than 1,000 miles on the heavenly roadways, and in turn the trumpeters and heralds of the visiting gods extended in advance of the gods themselves an equally great distance. 2. All the way were the roads lined with flags and banners and millions of spectators, the same who had formerly been in schools and colleges in heaven, but were now emancipated from the restrictions of self-improvement and used as applauders to sing and shout praises to Deus for his own glory. 3. The table of the feast was private and in secret, and only prepared for the gods and their close companions, 100 all told, but the serving host numbered more than 1,000,000 souls. 4. Whilst at the feast, Deus said to Osiris, "Speaking thou of thy exploits, and of Baal, and Astaroth, and their valorous legions." 5. Then Osiris explained the nature of the earth countries, and of the battles and incidents, well exaggerating the last result. After Osiris had finished his story, Deus said to Tain, "Speak thou of thy exploits, and of thy generals and captains, and of thy valorous legions." 6. Whereupon Tain displayed the maps of the earth regions where he had been, and his battles and final success, also much exaggerated. And now, after he had finished his story, Deus said to Sudga, "Speak thou of thy generals and captains and thy valorous legions." 7. Then Sudga explained the earth region where he had fought and won, extolling his generals and captains and his hosts, well exaggerated also. 8. When they had all finished their hilarious accounts and applauded one another in sufficient zeal, in that same time the feast of eating and drinking was ended also. Whereupon Anuhasaj rose up and said, 9. I now declare the feast ended. Let the tables be removed. Behold, I will speak from the throne, in private, before my 5 gods only, save mine own marshals. But unto all others I declare a time of recreation and sport, to be called again to duty when I have finished with my gods, of which my marshals will inform the trumpeters, who shall sound the call. 10. Speedily now the attendants took away the tables, and the hosts all withdrew, save the gods and Deus and his marshals. Whereupon Deus ascended the throne and then spake, saying, 11. I, the Lord your God, who am Deus of heaven and earth, declare unto you, my gods and earth rulers, in my own name and with love abounding. 12. To declare my doctrines and creations before you, that all the earth may be subdued alike unto me and mine forever. 13. To surpass not mine own age in my doctrines, nor to explain my axioms, but to surpass the understanding of mortals sufficiently unto their knowledge of earthly things, and so appease their curiosity as to the questions they put to ye, my gods. 14. Neither will I bind myself as Ahura did, for I will not explain who I am, save that man is mine own likeness, nor when the beginning of things was. 15. This heaven I created, and ye also bear witness that I have established the earth in me, through your valorous deeds. 16. I, who am your God, look not to matters of a day or a year. My times are as one time. For from this time forth forever, this heaven and earth are mine, time without end. 17. In which ye behold days and years, and the generations of men on the earth pass rapidly. Who then shall think seriously of the inhabitants that now are yours and mine? 18. Behold, the earth is fruitful. 1,000 years are but as one day, and there shall spring up out of the earth thousands of millions of souls newborn. For them are my answers shaped. more than for such as now are. 19. In the beginning I created this heaven and the earth, unto mine own name and glory. For they were void and without order, darkness was upon them. Whereupon I moved upon them, saying, Let there be light. And there was light. And I drew a line betwixt darkness and light, for they had worshipped the void instead of me. 20. Wherefrom I declared this the morning and evening of the first day. And I have divided those that were void, and established my firmament betwixt them, even as land betwixt water and water. 21. And my firmament is heaven, and I have made it to be over such as were void, like water. Chapter 27. 1. Osiris, being commanded of God to speak, said, Give us one day, O Deus, that we may digest this matter. 2. Thereupon the Lord God gave them one day, and on the next day, when they were assembled, the gods ratified every word Deus had spoken, and it was called the morning and evening of the second day. 3. Again, Deus spake, saying, Let the waters of the earth be in one place, and the land appear unto itself, for it was so. And I saw that the earth was good, and that heaven might reign thereon. And I saw that the earth brought forth grass and trees and fruit and seeds, everything after its own kind. And I said, Behold, they are good. Neither attributed I evil unto anything on the earth, or in the waters, or in the air above. But I separated the light from the darkness. This was the substance of my creation. 4. Again Osiris asked for a day, that the gods might weigh the words of the Lord God. And this was the evening of the third day. And God gave them a day. And when they were again assembled, Deus said, 5. Let there be gods in the firmament above the earth, and they shall separate the darkness from the light of the earth, that man may know me and my kingdoms. 6. And my God shall teach signs and seasons, and days and years, forever, unto the sons of men. And I made myself to rule the light of the world. But Osiris I made to rule the darkness of the world, which is the earth, my footstool. 7. Again, Deus gave the gods one day, to weigh the matter of his words and to ratify them, which they did. And this was the morning of the fourth day. 8. Again, Deus said, Let the waters of the earth bring forth abundantly the moving creatures that live, and let the fowl fly above the earth in the air of the firmament, for they are good. Let them be fruitful and multiply, every living creature, and fill the air above the earth, every creature after its own kind. Wherefore my blessings is upon them. 9. Again the Lord God gave his gods a day to weigh his words and ratify them, which they did. And this was the morning of the fifth day. And then Deus said, And now, my gods, let us make man in our own fashion, and in likeness of ourselves. Let them have dominion also, but over the fish in the waters, and the fowl in the air, and over the cattle, and over the earth, and over every living creature upon the earth. And ye shall go down, and ye shall go to them, and say to them, In our own likeness are ye created, male and female, and God's blessing is upon you. Be ye fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the earth, and the fishes, and fowl, and every living creature on the earth, for they are yours forever. And behold, ye have every herb, and seed, and fruit, which is on the face of the earth, and the roots that grow in the earth, and they shall be your food. But of whatsoever hath breathed the breath of life, man shall not eat. 10. Again, Deus gave the gods a day of rest, in order to weigh the matter and ratify it, and this was the morning of the sixth day. 11. And again Deus spake, saying, The Lord your God said unto thee, Osiris, and to thee, Tein, and to thee, Sudga, Search thou amongst mortals for one high in Suis, for when I announce my doctrines, Thou shalt go to such mortal, and cause him to write my words, saying, Such are the words of the Lord thy God, in answer to which I bid ye all now speak before me. 12. Osiris said, According to thy commandments have I searched and have found Thoth to be the highest man in Suez, and he dwelleth in Arabinia. 13. Then spake Te'en, saying, In like manner also searched I, and found Hong in my division of the earth, the highest man in Suez, and he dwelleth in Hoasin. 14. Then answered Sudga, saying, Even so have I accomplished in Vindhu, and I have found one Anj Rajan. 15. Diu said, To these mortals go ye and give my doctrines in your own ways, according to the language of mortals, and their capacity to understand. Neither bind I you to my exact words, nor limit you, save that I have spoken shall be the foundation. 16. Thus then ended the feast, and behold, it is the 7th day, for which reason I sanctify it and declare it a day of recreation.